Welcome to Out of Bounds, episode 7. Episode 7. It is Mike here at the Rocket Pod, Rocket Sports Cards, Chatham, Ontario. It is October something, 5th,
October the 5th.
October the 5th. Big show tonight. Kind of a warm-up for tomorrow night with our NHL draft show coming to you live tomorrow night. So this is kind of going to be we're going to wing it tonight for tonight's show. Nothing too serious. Looks like we got a couple live viewers on already. How you doing, Alex? How you doing, Owen? We're not seeing anybody live right now. We're having the same issue as last week. So if you are live, definitely say hello. Let us know you're here. And as always, this is an interactive show, so feel free to play along with us. Without further ado, I'll bring Brandon in. So the two of us tonight, as you guys can see, we have our 10-minute misconducts up there. We're gonna touch on the NFL at the quarterway mark of the season, what we think of it thus far. We're gonna talk about big news today. Not big news, but it is news because we want to touch on the fact that a 33-year-old NHL player with term left on his contract decided to retire today, mostly due to COVID and family reasons. We want to know if that's maybe going to be a trend going forward, especially guys that have maybe a year or two left on deals. Trade rumors, there's a lot of them going around right now in the NHL with the draft being tomorrow. We're going to touch on a few of those trade rumors. Free agency, we're going to look forward to free agency, which hits on Friday, I believe. We're going to talk about that, players that are going to hit free agency. And chances are, a little game we're going to play tonight with you guys. I'm going to throw a name out. We're going to go back and forth maybe. The chances of these players getting moved in the next 48 hours. So that's going to be, for an example, I will say Patrick Laine, and he will give me on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely if he's going to get moved or not, 1 being absolutely not. So we're going to play a little game called Chances Are.
See, Devin Dubnyk got traded?
Devin Dubnyk for a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, going to San Jose. Going to San Jose.
I believe you call that a salary dump.
Yep.
So tell us what you think. If you haven't done so yet, hit the like button. If you're watching for the first time on the restream or you're live with us tonight, definitely like and subscribe to the channel. This show's called Out of Bounds. It's our Monday night talk show every Monday night at 8 p.m. Tomorrow night coming live with the draft special.
Show, yeah.
That goes live at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Definitely check that out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a long show.
It is.
I think it's going to be a very long show.
I think the first 4 picks will go very quickly, and then after that, I think they're going to use their time up try to move there. Yeah, Ottawa has already said they're not trading the 5th pick. So maybe
they did say that.
Yeah, they've already come out and said they're not interested in moving the 5th pick. So maybe the first 5 picks will go quickly. After that, I think things will slow down. I think Ottawa knows what they want in the 3rd and 5th. So.
All right, without further ado, we're going to start off our first 10-minute misconduct.
Whoa! Before we do that.
Oh, hold on.
Before we do that, I've been saving this.
Yes. So I do want to send a huge thank you out to Alex and Dan at Boombox. Brandon is finally going to eat a cupcake on the air.
Yeah, look, there it is, right there.
I think it was pumpkin spice chocolate. So it's a very fancy cupcake.
It is heavy. It's a heavy cupcake.
It's a very heavy cupcake. Yes. So he's gonna take one bite out of this and tell us what he thinks. I hope Dan and Alex are gonna watch this, and we can't do any more promotion for their bakery than this.
Yeah, hang on a sec. So here we go.
That's a big bite.
Well, that's really good.
I told you.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Does that have filling in it?
No, there's no filling. That's what it looks like on the inside. So, I was expecting it the cupcake itself is dense, but the frosting or the icing or whatever's on this, super light.
Yeah.
Like it is super light. Like this is really good.
Hey, we tell you every week that Boombox is where it's at, folks. Boombox Bake Shop down in London, Ontario. Friends of ours, Dan and Alex, friends of the store. You're seeing it firsthand. Brandon doesn't eat sweets, so this is something for him that... what's with the Rolo on top?
It's an arrow, it looks like.
An arrow chocolate piece, yeah.
I don't know what it's for, but I don't think it quite matches. Maybe it's just there for a garnish. I don't know. But I could see myself eating one of these at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, definitely.
Very much like a Thanksgiving.
So next week on Out of Bounds, we do have confirmation that we will have apple cinnamon flakies for Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice.
So we will have apple cinnamon flakies for Brandon and I next Monday night on Out of Bounds. But while he's eating the cupcake, I'm going to get us started on NHL thus far.
Jay, I'm always flexing.
Yeah.
Always.
Hit the timer for us there, Brandon.
Yeah,
cupcake fingers.
Sorry, I can't. Now your computer's going to be all messy. All right, here you go.
All right, here we go, guys. What do you guys think of the NFL thus far? Tell us what you guys think. We're looking at your shocks, your surprises, your disappointments by far. I'm going to throw the first one out there with one of my surprises. I am very surprised that the Cleveland Browns are 3-1 right now.
That's a good one.
I think the Cleveland Browns is it fool's gold. My Chicago Bears are also 3-1, and that's definitely fool's gold. I think they're a terrible football team. But it's one of those things. The Lions, I believe, are 1-3. Alex is talking right now. An 0-4 team today cleaned house. We've got the Houston. The
Texans.
The Texans. They fired Quinn, or what's his name?
Brian.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
But they fired it's O'Brien.
Dan O'Brien. Fired Dan O'Brien, their coach and GM, so they're completely restarting there. That's probably going to be a huge relief for guys like Deshaun Watson.
That was my biggest surprise because Houston last year started 0-3. They started 0-4 this year, and the fact that they made it to the playoffs and did as well as they did last year, to start 0-4 this year, like, you're really pushing it. Like, you don't have a big window of opportunity.
No. One of my other the shocks for the season for me, I knew they might be bad because they lost so many defensive starters, but I think the Minnesota Vikings at 0-3 or 0-4.
Yeah.
Or no, they won yesterday. Sorry, they're 1-3 now.
They're 1-3.
But they're 1-3. They're behind Chicago at 3-1, and Green Bay's probably going to 4-0 tonight.
Yeah.
Or did they play last night?
Green Bay's
got Atlanta tonight, Monday Night Football. Atlanta's not that great, so I could easily see Green Bay going to 4-0.
But I thought Atlanta, at the start of the season, we talked during our NFL prediction show that the pros were saying that Atlanta was going to be fairly decent. They suck.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have Vegas in your back pocket and they're just throwing games. Because there's no other excuse for that Bears comeback the other day. The Bears tried to come back yesterday. They did have an onside kick to recover the ball. They did have a chance, anyways. But they looked horrible. Nick Foles is not the answer. So a lot of memes today saying a lot of people find, and I've been saying it from the start, that Mitch Trubisky wasn't the problem; it was the coach. So Nagy in Chicago, he's got to go. He doesn't know how to open up that offense. You've got Allen Robinson, one of the best receivers in the game. They can't get him the ball. You know what I mean? Like, it's just their running game hasn't got off the ground because. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, he hasn't thrown a screen pass in almost 2 years. It's just the short or the like a draw play. You know what I mean? Something that's just a little bit different. He's got all these gadget plays that he comes up with, but none of them ever work. His relying on Cordell Patterson in the running game, like, he's not a running back. He's a punt returner for crying out loud.
Yeah, but it makes him one-dimensional too, right? Like, I mean, you already know what the playbook is.
Yeah. Well, at least Foles checked down his options yesterday when I was watching the game. At least he went to his third and fourth receivers at some point. Yeah. But, like, that was the problem with Trubisky. He'd look at one guy and three guys would go to him because that's his MO. Like, as soon as he looks at him, that's the guy he's going to throw it to, and everybody just rushes over to him.
Yeah. My big surprise is Adrian Peterson being the starting back in Detroit. Like, that
it's not getting them anywhere.
No, I know, but the fact that he was named the starting running back, like, I would have thought he would have been third on the depth chart behind Kerryon Johnson and DeAndre Swift, and neither of those guys, you can find them anywhere.
The Bears did sign a running back today, Lamar Miller, I think.
Oh, did they? I didn't know.
Formerly of Houston.
Okay.
I think he was Houston's running back a couple years ago. I think he also spent time maybe... I know Houston for sure. I just can't remember who else he played. One of the other surprises in the league right now... back to the Cleveland Browns, I think Dallas is horrible.
Yeah, they're not good.
Dallas's defense giving up over 50 points yesterday.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I know.
I know Cleveland's got a little bit of a high-octane offense there with Chubb and Odell Beckham. And
Chubb didn't play.
Oh, Chubb wasn't in yesterday.
No.
Didn't they have over 300 rushing yards?
They did have 300 yards.
How the hell does Dallas give up over 300 yards on the ground when Chubb's not even playing? I know they had a reverse with Beckham that went for quite a few yards, but
300 rushing yards?
That's come on, guys.
You're never going to win a football game if you can't stop the run like
you
that.
can't stop anything at that point. So that's a big surprise. Dallas being as bad as they are. On the AFC side of things, what's surprising you over there?
I don't know. Get back to me for a second. Let me think.
I think Indianapolis is a bit of a surprise right now. Their defense is pretty stellar. That's who the Bears lost to yesterday. That's how I know the Bears aren't for real. They went up against Indianapolis yesterday and they just punched them in the mouth. They couldn't do anything. Indianapolis defense looks amazing. I think they're averaging under fit. Well, they went up a little bit because it went down actually. The Bears had 11 points yesterday. They were averaging 15 for the season. It's hard to lose games when you only need to score 15 points.
Phillip Rivers is a bit of a question mark, I think.
Phillip Rivers is a dink. So they had him mic'd up for the game yesterday. They said he's hilarious though. He's the best smack talker in football, but he will not curse.
Oh, is that just a religion thing?
It's a religion thing. It's just unbelievable that he will smack talk that much, and the worst he says is like, "God dang it," you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like it's just unbelievable. He's hilarious if you ever catch him mic'd up. But we got a question here. How is Brady doing in Tampa?
Well, I threw 5 TDs yesterday.
Who cares is the proper answer.
Well, they're 3-1. I don't know.
I think Tom Brady, when they finally play a decent team, is going to get popped in the mouth, and that'll be it.
I don't know. Their offensive line keeps him on his feet. I don't think he hasn't been sacked very much this year.
But it is what it is. 5 touchdowns yesterday. That makes the news, obviously.
I know we're going to talk about the coronavirus and stuff, but I want to stick with my NFL prediction that the NFL is not going to complete their season. Like, they're already moving games around.
This shit is burning my throat,
Tennessee. Man. Super ginger, that's what it is.
Sorry,
Tennessee, the idea that they're moving Tennessee, that now that they're moving Kansas City and they're moving New England to tonight, Cam Newton, obviously, with coronavirus and stuff. And I know we're going to talk about that when we start talking about Niskanen. So I don't want to say too much on that, but I honestly think that there's probably more of that virus going around that they are going to they're going to have to.
They're keeping a lot of it under wraps too. I'm pretty sure there's players that have had it and not been reported.
Well, they said Cam Newton went through a full practice before they had
nobody else on the team got it.
Before they had the diagnoses. And now I understand that in a practice, your quarterbacks, they have the red shirt on, they're not allowed to get hit and all that stuff. So
but they're still throwing a ball that they're touching.
For sure. And oftentimes, what are they doing when they reach for the ball? They lick their fingers to get a grip on the ball as they're throwing. So I'm curious to see.
I don't think that's happening right now with the virus out there. I don't think that's. I definitely don't think that's one of the things that's happening. Sorry, guys. I'm getting text right now about the NHL draft. Some major news coming through right now.
Oh, really?
Not so much major news. We'll talk about it in trade rumors, but just a few things coming through right now. I do have a few friends that are insiders. I mentioned. I do talk to a few guys that a couple guys work for Sportsnet. A couple guys do professional scouting. And it's just one of those things, some of them talk to me from time to time, and I just got something come across the wire here.
Looking at, because you asked about the AFC, I'm thinking like Jacksonville actually winning games is actually something that I was not really expecting. I think I had them at 2-14 for what their season was going to be. I honestly thought with the exodus coming out of Jacksonville, everyone getting the hell out of Jacksonville, that they were.
Their running back looks awesome. The young running back, undrafted.
Yeah, the team looks actually pretty decent. There's not a lot of surprises. Like you're looking at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh looks hot. Ben Roethlisberger coming back.
Pittsburgh's the threat.
Cleveland, we expected to be good. The question mark there was, of course, Baker Mayfield.
Every 5 years, Cleveland puts up a 10-6 record. It wasn't something that we didn't see coming. It's never predictable because it's so sporadic. It's just one of those things that Cleveland does. Every 5 to 6 years, they put up a a good season.
And I think
this thing's killing me, man. This tea is killing me.
And I think Buffalo looks like they actually have a chance to do something as long as
Buffalo is still my pick for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I can see why they're playing very well.
Their defense keeps them in games and gives them a chance to win. Reminds me a lot of Pittsburgh. Reminds me a lot of Pittsburgh when Big Ben was younger. Even Josh Allen kind of looks like Big Ben.
Yeah.
Are they both number 7?
Josh Allen, I think he wears 7.
I think they both wear 7.
Or does he wear 10? I think he might wear 10.
Anyway, either way, it's the NFL. So far, quite a few surprises, quite a few shocking moments for sure.
The fact that Patricia and Quinn are not gone from Detroit is also a big surprise because they need to get out. Like, come on. But that's the same old Lion stuff, right? So.
Yep. All right, moving on to our next subject. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Tell us what you think. Just coming across the wire today. It's not major news by any means because of the player. The player is an average NHL defenseman. I think he's probably a top or a bottom 4 NHL defenseman. He's not a top pair guy, but had $5 million, $5.5 million left on his contract.
He's got 1 year left. I think
1 year, so he left $5.5 million on the table to retire early this is the big thing, 33 years old. So it's not like he was 36 or 37. It's one of those things. He said that for the betterment of my family, for the betterment of my friends and family, he decided that he wasn't going to play because of the what's going on with the pandemic and COVID.
Now, do you think that is because he sees what's happening in other sports where football is now allowing fans in, and you can't keep a bubble like in Edmonton and Toronto.
No,
you have to be able to play at your home field or your home ice. Do you think that has anything to do with it? Do you think that it's just okay? They can't protect us as well as they think they can.
I think maybe he was thinking about it, and then the team stepped in and said we could use this actually. I think later on down the road you might see the Flyers hire Niskanen once things are all safe, if they ever get to that point. I think the Flyers might have an office job for him or a scouting job where they continue to feed money into his bank account. But he's doing them a solid right now. If he was thinking about retiring because of the cap savings that he's offering them, I think they maybe pushed him that way.
Well, they did ask him. It was reported that the Flyers asked him to reconsider, and he said no.
Well, the thing that interests me is that the timing of it. So with free agency coming on Friday, Niskanen coming out and saying that, hey, I'm done. Yeah. He could have made this decision in November, December. I guess good on him, thinking of the team, making the decision early, so they had that money to spend and replace him. We're going to get to the free agent thing here in a minute. That money might go a long way for the Flyers, actually, from rumors that I'm hearing and rumors that are circulating about who they might spend that money on.
Right.
So I think he did the Flyers a solid, but I think there's always backdoor deals, folks. We don't hear about it because it's not supposed to happen. But don't be surprised if you see Matt Niskanen get some type of job with the Philadelphia Flyers that helps recoup some of that $5.5 million that he let go. Maybe they pay him $1 million a year to be a defensive coach down the road, or something.
I would be curious to know what the reasoning is, because you talked about how he could have gone early. I think the climate has changed, with Trump getting it, and players have come out and talked about what it has done to them. Von Miller, one of the ones who has said, it is not something that is an easy thing to go through. And I think with science, if you believe science, which most people probably should, it talks about the permanent damage that it can do to you. And as an athlete, are you going to be able to perform as well if you've got lung damage as a result? You know what I mean?
We did talk about that with Austin Matthews having it early before the bubble started.
Yeah.
We wondered if it would affect his breathing. Not maybe right now, but. He's a young guy. He's like 23 years old, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe by the time he's 30, he develops problems with his lungs because of it, and then his career shortened from that.
Yeah, and I think because it affects everybody differently, you really have no idea what kind of damage it's doing to you. I mean, luckily these are teams that have millions and millions of dollars, so they have amazing medical and health facilities and all that stuff who will be watching that kind of thing. But why take the chance, I suppose? And you know what? If you're as old as Niskanen is at 33 years old, you've already made your millions. So I mean, are you gonna miss $5 million here and $2 million there, and as your age gets up, the contract dwindles and so does your pay.
Yeah.
Like, why not enjoy your life at 33 years old with those millions of dollars? You never have to work again.
Well, a good example of that is Jason Spezza today signed for $700,000.
Yeah.
So for him, it's more like I'm just bored, and I already live in the city or the GTA. To go to work's like driving across town.
Yeah.
So why not make why not make $700,000 and be able to still play?
Did you see what Dubas came out today and said? He wanted what their priority was in Toronto. They want to get tougher. They want to be a team that people are afraid to play against.
So that's not going to happen. With your top six being the way it is,
No.
and your defense being fairly soft as well.
Yeah.
Both our phones are going crazy here. Something's happening, folks. Just kidding. We don't. No big trades yet or anything like that. We did mention Devin Dubnyk earlier, but
that's the only thing I've seen come across so far.
Devin Dubnyk, I'm thinking. So I'm hearing from a couple Sportsnet guys saying that there's not going to be any rumblings. There's not going to be any not aftershocks, but the pre rumblings. He goes, it's just going to go into an earthquake all of a sudden, and when that earthquake hits. And they think it's going to hit all day tomorrow before the draft actually takes part and through the draft. When it finally hits, there's going to be a ton of aftershocks. There's just too many players that are being mentioned, too many names on the market. But we got trade rumors coming up in the second segment. Will we see more players retire due to COVID? We've seen a ton of players opt out for baseball.
Yeah.
A ton of players also opted out for football, like we talked about the Minnesota Vikings. 7 starters. 7 starters on the Minnesota Vikings defense decided not to come back. So that's probably why they're giving up 40 points a game and losing. But what about the trade that Carolina turned down from Toronto? You're gonna have to tell me what that was.
So that was Frederick Anderson, and they wanted Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah. So
Carolina, of course, that's a non-starter for Carolina.
So if that was even proposed, which we don't know for sure because we're not on the phone or listening in. But if that was rumored to be the trade, why would Carolina, when there's so many decent goalies on the market, if Carolina wants a goalie, they can go buy one. They don't have to give up an asset like Dougie Hamilton to get one.
I was doing a little bit of research prior to the show about the retirements of like notable athletes who have retired. Now I don't know if any of these are as a result of coronavirus or COVID-19, but like.
But can I just jump in real quick
Sure.
before you say that? The Detroit Lions. That's what I want to point out. How bad are the Detroit Lions that 2 of the greatest players at their position in the history opted to retire early in that city with Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
Both of those guys were in their prime when they called it quits.
Well, I don't know about Calvin Johnson. He was pretty beat up.
Come on.
Like he was beat
Come
up.
on.
He needed like he needed load management, like what?
Okay, but he was still an NFL wide receiver and still one of the best.
Oh, he was very good. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's 6'5" and height that he could get when you threw a ball up to him.
But back to your
He still had productive years. So some of the people that were on this list were Vince Carter. Vince Carter possibly playing his last game as a result of coronavirus, not retiring because of coronavirus, but the fact that he is probably done, and I would assume that he's finished because they don't know what's going to happen with the basketball season. But you had tennis stars Maria Sharapova and Carolyn Wozniak retired. Luke Kuechly retired, Eli Manning, of course, Antonio Gates, Curtis Granderson, and Rhett Ellison. All of these people retired. I don't know, again, if it is a result of what was happening with the pandemic and the coronavirus, but these are some notable players that did call it quits in 2020.
So I think you're going to see more of them with the NHL possibly being pushed till December and January, the latest rumors. Some of the rumors, I did read that Jeff Molson said, Jeff Molson, the owner of the Montreal Canadiens, he believes that the season will not start until next September. So he's thinking that they're gonna wait for the all clear so they can have fans in the arenas and then push it back and basically just lose a season.
Really?
But obviously that means that contracts would be carried over.
I would assume they'd extend. Right?
They would extend, right? But what does that do for players maybe that only have maybe 2 years left and they're sitting at 37, 38 years old?
They're not going to get a contract.
Do they play both years, or do they play one and retire because of it, or because they're just getting the age doesn't stop.
I don't think they're going to get
time does not stop.
Yeah.
I think will we see Zdeno Chara back?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Boston has opted out of re-signing him. I think they're still talking, but they're not going to pay him. I think you might see Zdeno Chara either retire if he doesn't take a contract like a Jason Spezza just took for like $700,000.
Make $1 million and just to play.
Yeah, just to play. Yeah, but will Chara even want to play if he's going to be like 41 years old when the next season starts?
Yeah, I don't know. The amount of damage that it probably does to your body being a professional athlete, especially when you're that old. How do you stay on top of your game when you're that old? Your body does start to slow down. I can see it. I could see him not coming back.
We got 5 seconds left. Anything you want to add?
Nope. Let's move on.
All right, we'll move on. We're going to move on to trade rumors. This is the most interesting part. Jay Benoit just brought up that the Maple Leafs were supposedly offered Freddie Anderson for Dougie Hamilton. I did hear some of that like earlier this week.
Brooks Orpik just retired. That's what Fred.
Here we go. Brooks Orpik, another guy opting out. Maybe it'd be interesting to see if you want to look that up real quick, and I'll keep things going.
Sure.
If Brooks Orpik still had term on his deal and he retired early, or if it's one of those things that he was going into free agency and there just wasn't any interest there. Because I believe as of midnight last night, the negotiation period can start. Teams can be courted, or players can be courted by teams right now, with free agency opening on Friday. I think that started last night. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe teams can talk to players right now. But trade rumors, something interesting just came across. It's actually Sportsnet reporting it, so it's probably legit. That Jack Eichel is not likely to be involved in trades at the draft.
I find that really surprising.
Actually. I find it really surprising that they had to mention it.
Yeah.
So I find it really surprising that Buffalo had to come out. So when there's smoke, there's fire, folks. We had talked about the possibility of Jack Eichel being moved. Buffalo's a shit show. There's a lot of teams in the NHL that are shit shows and that they'll never be winners. And I think good players will play so much time there and just say, I've had enough. I think Eichel has demanded a trade, maybe. Behind closed doors, obviously. Maybe Eichel has come to management and said, look, it's not working here.
Yeah, I got to get out of here.
I got to get out of here for the betterment of my career. Thank you, but no thank you. Please try and find me somewhere to play.
Yeah. Fred, I got to know where you got your information from, because I got Brooks Orpik retiring in 2019. June 25th, 2019.
Yeah, so we've got Brooks Orpik retired last year, middle of the season.
He had a mid-season knee surgery and he couldn't walk up the stairs, and he decided to retire.
So Brooks Orpik did not retire due to COVID or anything like that.
So we were talking Toronto, and I know you mentioned it, and I mentioned it on the way in today about Toronto wanting to go after Jonas Korpisalo.
Yes, so I've been hearing rumors. It started probably midday yesterday about Toronto talking to Columbus about Korpisalo. And my response to that is, why, if you're Columbus, what does Toronto have that you could possibly be interested in,
exactly.
other than offense?
Yeah.
So Toronto would definitely have to send probably like a middle six forward, like a second or third line forward, plus picks for Korpisalo. Don't get me wrong, like, Columbus has the ability to do this trade because I think they're going to put their stock in the Merzlikins. But it's just one of those things. If I'm Columbus, I'd probably keep both goalies.
Absolutely. Why would you not?
Why wouldn't you run with 1A and 1B in case Merzlikins falters and then you're done? Because unless there's something out there like they move a Korpisalo, and with so many goalies hitting free agency, they bring one of those veterans in to back up Merzlikins. Because you're going to have, I believe, Braden Holtby's going to be available. We know Henrik Lundqvist is available. And that is a surprise team. So Lundqvist says he still wants to win. Columbus has been a playoff team for the last 3-4 years. Tortorella's a good coach, whether you like him or not. But it's one of those things where maybe Lundqvist can go there and
doesn't Tortorella and Lundqvist have history too? Wasn't Tortorella in New York at the same time?
I believe so. Yeah. I think Tortorella was in Tampa for a long time. and then maybe in New York.
Yeah, I thought he was in New York. I thought the two of them had crossed paths.
So it's just one of those options. Like, there's just going to be so many goaltenders hit the market. Corey Crawford, I believe, is available as well.
Yep. Matt Murray.
No, Matt Murray's not a free agent, though.
No, not a free agent. We're talking trade rumors.
We're talking trade rumors, but this goes in with...
Oh, you're talking about...
So why would anybody right now trade for goaltending when there's going to be so many decent veteran goalies hit the market? I'm thinking that we're going to see probably a 75% re-signings, 25% of the goalies that hit the market, the veterans, probably going to retire, and that goes back to the Niskanen effect.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see a lot of goalies retire out of this. Lundqvist has said he wants to play. Who's going to pay him? To be a backup, probably. You could definitely see him going to a team like maybe that needs to get to the cap, like a Detroit.
What do you think?
But he says he wants to win, right?
Yeah, what do you think he would make on the market?
$2 million?
Yeah, he would have to take a major pay cut.
Anybody that's going to sign in free agent this year, nobody's getting paid max contracts. I'm telling you right now, Taylor Hall obviously is the big free agent fish.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? Petrolangelo. I think Petro gets about $9 million. We're not at the free agent part yet, but we'll get to that. Trade rumors. Back to trade rumors. So can you move that screen timer off me?
Yeah, sorry.
I can't see what I look like. Anyways, tell us what you guys think about the trade rumors circulating right now. They are just rumors, and usually they're BS until you actually, until something goes down. There's never, until you see it from a reliable source, guys that like Elliot Friedman or Eric Engels on Sportsnet or anybody like that I follow. Until we see it from them, there's really nothing going on.
I had read that Pittsburgh was going to buy out Jack Johnson, and then I read on another site that they were going to package Jack Johnson and Matt Murray together.
There's just so many. Yeah. There's so many variations out there. The thing that's interesting with COVID, with the cap probably staying at, I think it is staying at 81.5 for 2 years because of COVID. Teams are going to feel the pinch. Trade rumors. Let's get to trade rumors. A big name on the market right now, probably the biggest name on the market, and rightfully so. He's a 40-goal guy, Patrick Laine.
Yeah.
So right now I'm hearing that there are 3 teams in the running for Patrick Laine, whether you believe it or not. Those teams being the Carolina Hurricanes, the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Montreal Canadiens. So if you really want to break this down, with Matt Niskanen retiring from the Philadelphia Flyers, they do have some cap room there. But do they need another elite scorer? They seem to be kind of loaded up. The Philadelphia Flyers, in my opinion, don't really need anything.
No.
They need some leadership, maybe. They have a really good hockey team. That's the only thing is, like, do you bring in a guy and have to pay out the bum to get him and give up assets to get him when you're already there? So the Philadelphia Flyers, who knows? Maybe they think that Patrick Laine is the guy that puts them over the top, but I don't think he is. I think he is more. I don't think, and I guess the arguments could be made for the exact same way for the Carolina Hurricanes. The reason that people thought Philadelphia was a good trade partner for the Jets, the Jets need defensemen badly. Philadelphia has an abundance of defense, but I really think that they're trying. I think the reason that Philadelphia has been rumored is that Philadelphia is trying to offload Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere has been rumored to be available since last trade deadline. Philly should have traded him when they could. He's not an NHL player anymore. He's just, I don't know what it is. He had a couple great years, and then he had a hard time cracking the lineup in the playoffs for him against Montreal. So, because I did watch the entire series, I think he played maybe 2 out of the 5 or 2 out of the 6 games, maybe. So not a good thing to go. And he's like $5.56 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of money to pay a guy that's a fringe defenseman, fringe NHL defenseman. Great offensively, but he lost it. Like, let's face it, he had like 50, 60 points one year, and the next year he had 20.
Yeah.
And all the power play time to work with. So, with that being said, it kind of segues into free agency, and I'll tell you about that. Being a Montreal fan, this excites me. I think they're the team that is, and where there's smoke, there's fire, folks. There's been discussions. Montreal and Winnipeg deal quite often. They've got history there. Montreal can offer probably one of the better packages to get him. They can offer. So Winnipeg has said they want to win now. So I don't think it's a straight deal. If Patrick Laine gets dealt, he's going to one of these three teams. I don't think another team's going to jump in. You might see him go to a team that surprises you, like a Detroit. Detroit has a ton of prospects, and they want people to put butts in the seats.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is that you'll see a package that consists of Montreal doesn't have a lot of defensemen. They do have NHL defensemen, but I think they want to keep them. I think you're going to see a package like Max Domi, because they said they want to win now. Max Domi's name's been thrown out there quite a bit. So he replaces him on the wing, so you lose a little bit of goal production, but not NHL value there. You throw in a player like Ryan Poehling, a high-end prospect at the center position, and then they give him one of their young defensemen, whether it be a Mete, a Yulson, one of those kind of guys, and then that first-round pick's got to be involved as well. So Montreal would lose their 16 overall pick. However, the only way this goes down, if it's a three-way deal, that package would be heading to Winnipeg, and then they would in turn, because they need defensive help, send either Ryan Poehling with that first round pick or one of their own prospects or a combination of everything to the Minnesota Wild to take Matt Dumba.
Huh. Yeah.
So it's gonna get creative. It's one of those things that it's gonna have to be creative to make it work. But if Montreal, Minnesota, and Winnipeg can work together, I think that deal can be facilitated by all three teams, and then it gets done.
Did you see what I know that we're jumping into free agency, but did you see what Arizona wants for Taylor Hall? Just a pick. They want a pick. That's it.
So we're talking about free agency now.
Yeah.
Arizona is desperately trying to get anything they can for Taylor Hall for early negotiating rights.
For sure. He's leaving at the end of the
year. He's definitely leaving.
Already said he's gone.
So Arizona is one of the teams that it's interesting. They've got a lot of good young talent. They did make the playoffs this year. But who are they going to be a perennial playoff team? I don't think so. But they're going to be one of these teams that is always buying free agents, big-time free agents. They'll be making major deals at the deadline because they need to put people in the arena. And nothing like controversy creates cash, you know what I mean? Like, they're desperately trying to get anybody to care in Arizona, and I don't think it's working. But back to trade rumors, I did want to point out that the team that I think will surprise everybody this year at the NHL draft via trades, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Florida makes a huge splash.
Well, Florida is in the market as a potential landing spot for Torrey Krug. I think Vegas, Detroit, Florida, and one other team, I think, are the 4 potential landing spots for him.
So we are getting into free agent talk here, but we can evolve with just player movement here. It can be part trade rumors, part free agency. That probably works best for the segment.
Sure, yeah.
Notable free agents. So back to the Niskanen. It all comes like we didn't put Niskanen up there for no reason. This has a major domino effect. Niskanen opting out and retiring early opens up $5.5 million in room for the Philadelphia Flyers. Yes, they need to replace him, but what I'm hearing right now is that they will send a massive offer to Alex Pietrangelo to replace Matt Niskanen.
Yep.
And that, Phil Kessel's always being traded, but that will take Philadelphia. That's another reason why I think Laine makes sense to Montreal, because if Philly signs Pietrangelo, I think Pietrangelo is going to New York. He wants to win. I think New York in a year or two will be that team. But if he wants to win now and not lose a year or two, Philadelphia might be that team. But with Philly possibly signing him, that takes Laine out of the equation. They can't afford him at this point.
Yeah.
So that brings in Carolina, and the only reason I think Carolina's been rumored with Laine is the fact that they have an abundance of defensemen. So they're like these amateurs, we're amateurs, but these people online that think they know what they're talking about with trades, possible rumors. They're only looking at it like what kind of makes sense. Well, nobody said that Carolina has called Winnipeg saying, "Hey, we want Patrick Laine."
Yeah.
It's one of these things where, hey, Carolina's got like 6 NHL defensemen. They can afford to give up one.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Which makes sense.
So they've got the assets to make a deal for Patrick Laine. Do they? I think they've got the cap room. I'm not sure what their cap situation's like, but I don't think they need any forwards. Like, they've got an abundance of good young forwards, but I think it just made sense because he's also Finnish, and they wanted to bring him in with Aho.
Yeah.
They wanted to bring him in with the other Finns on the team. So, and I think Montreal's looking at it the same way. I think they're going to say, let's have Kotkaniemi passing the puck. You got a couple Finns there. Joel Armia's a Finn. They got a ton of Finnish players, right? So, just one of those things. But I have Pietrangelo going to, he's either going to Philadelphia now or he's going to the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers are 1 on my list, and Philadelphia with Niskanen retiring, move into a number 2 spot. Toronto is not getting Alex Pietrangelo. I just heard that...
Plan the route!
Yeah, I just heard Toronto will be getting a defenseman. I heard that Gudas was very close to signing in Toronto, I think he might be traded there. I can't remember if he's still under contract, but Radko Gudas, he's a decent defenseman. He's probably going to be in Toronto's top 4. That doesn't say much about their current state of defense, but where does a guy like Tyson Barrie land?
Yeah, I don't know.
Last year, Tyson Barrie was a major fish on the market at the trade deadline, and now he's not talked about. That's how quickly the NHL can turn. Where does he go? That's a good question.
No, absolutely.
So I could see a Tyson Barrie if he gets a sweetheart deal. Maybe he fills a spot in Winnipeg. There's a lot of teams out there that don't have 6 NHL defensemen. Most teams have 4, maybe 5, and then have a rookie or a journeyman playing. But there's not a lot of teams that have 6 NHL defensemen.
I'm curious as we're talking and stuff, and I'm thinking about where these players are going to land, if it's going to create a larger gap in terms of the parity in the league. Like, if you think of these players that all want to go to a place where they can win, New York we know is going to be amazing because they're going to pick Lafreniere, and
New York was close this year. New York has a very strong team.
And you think Philly, you think Montreal, you think Vegas.
There's a lot of teams up and coming. Are there as many teams up and coming as teams falling? So that's where the parity comes in. So if you have 5 to 10 teams that show vast improvement, but only 2 or 3 teams got weaker, so it just narrows the gap from the top. That's the way it feels to me. I don't think we're going to see any word on Morgan Rielly. What would we be talking about Morgan Rielly for?
Yeah, I don't think he's moving.
No, Morgan Riley's not going anywhere.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
He's your only...
we should be talking about Nylander. If they were talking about anyone leaving Toronto, it's going to be Nylander.
I don't think Nylander's going to be the guy that moves. I think just because of the contract and teams don't know what they're getting with him, and teams, I'm telling you right now, you still have to have big players to win in the NHL. You still have to have big players to win the Stanley Cup. It's a grind. And William Nylander's not the type of guy that's going to win you a Stanley Cup.
Right. No, I understand.
So William Nylander may be attractive to a team like, hey, maybe Arizona wants a guy like that to replace a Taylor Hall, but they're not going to pay for him. Everybody knows Toronto is so cap strapped that any deal involving Toronto is basically a salary dump at this point. Absolutely. You're doing them a massive favor by taking any of their players.
That player has, whatever team is dealing with Toronto, has tons of leverage.
Yes, they
have of leverage.
Everything's in their court, folks. You do not. Now's not a good time for Toronto to be trading players. Trust me. Now's a very good time for Toronto to maybe just blow it up. Toronto needs to go back to the drawing board and figure this out because it's not working. They have all these skilled, talented forwards. They're talking about getting rid of their goalie like it's his fault. You know what I mean? So there's always trade rumors with Detroit or Toronto, Jay. Just take them with a grain of salt because none of them are actually ever true. When's the last time anything became true? Tavares going to Toronto, 2.5 years ago that came to fruition?
Yep. And Nylander's been on the trading block since the day he arrived. So
yes. But if Nylander's been available since the day he arrived, why has nobody called for him?
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, the teams aren't interested at that price point, like $7 million. Like, they don't want him. It's just, I think any trade with Toronto right now is probably going to see a bottom six guy, a guy that you do not want to give up, a la Kadri. Kadri is the guy he was the heart and soul of the team. Connor Brown, never should have let him go. Are you seeing the trend here? They're so hell bent on keeping the superstars that they let the guys that actually win you games. They let all those guys because they can't afford the $4 million players because they're top loaded at $11 and $12 million guys.
Yeah.
I don't think Toronto makes any moves. They go to the draft. They might make a tweak here and there, but it'll be a salary dump. But if anybody gets traded from Toronto, I think people are going to come after a guy like Janssen. $4 million cap hit, I believe. Decent 20-goal guy. I'm hearing a lot of names out there. A lot of names rumored to a lot of teams that just don't make any sense. Torrey Krug's going somewhere. He's a free agent, I believe.
Yes, he is, yep.
Torrey Krug's probably, if I'm out there and I need a puck-moving defenseman, a power play guy, Torrey Krug's number one. And then Pietrangelo is like the hybrid of... Yeah. Pietrangelo's the better overall defenseman. So I think very solid crop of defensemen in free agency this year. So I think Winnipeg might be one of those teams that let's just shed some salary and buy one
and retool. Yeah,
retool.
And they'll retool.
Before we get to the chances are, I do want to point out a lot of stuff's going to change in the NHL. We did talk about it slightly before. A team that might make some noise at the draft, I did mention Florida. I think Calgary's got to do something. I think Calgary's just spinning their wheels in the mud.
Yeah. You don't hear about Calgary being competitive in any way, shape, or form.
If they make the playoffs, they're happy. But if they don't, oh well. But they're always going to be that middle of the pack, just good enough to get there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, they got to do something. As early as last year, we heard, if we're going to go to chances are, as early as last year, we heard rumors about Johnny Gaudreau getting traded at the deadline. If I'm an NHL team, I'm making calls on not Johnny Gaudreau, but I'm probably making a call on a guy like Elias Lindholm, who doesn't make a ton of money, like an 80-point guy. I'm making calls on maybe a Sean Monahan, who is probably, a pure goal scorer, pretty good hockey player. But Johnny Gaudreau is not high on my list of guys to take off the Calgary Flames. Incredibly soft, small. It is what it is. So I will fire the first chances are off to Brandon, and we want to hear what you guys think about it. I'm going to say chances are this move happens on a scale of 1, or we'll do percentages.
Sure.
Okay, we'll go by 10% to 100%, or 0% if you wish. First question off to Brandon. Chances Alex Pietrangelo signs as a New York Ranger.
As a New York Ranger, so I have to look at a specific team. I'm giving that. I'll give that a 70%. I'll give that
70% chance. I say that it's already done. They've already talked. I say it's a 90% chance that Alex Pietrangelo. This Philadelphia Flyers thing got thrown in late here, but they can always move to Plan B with Torrey Krug or somebody like that. But I think Alex Pietrangelo is a done deal to the New York Rangers. I think it's done. I don't think Toronto even has a chance. That everybody's saying Toronto. Every time I look at the statistics, like Toronto's got the best chance. No, they don't. It doesn't possibly make sense. He's going to want $8 to $9 million.
Yeah, they can't afford that.
40%. So Jay's in at 40% on that. So if you think 40%, is that the highest percentage, Jay? Like, do you think he might go somewhere else? Like, do you have a team listed at 60%?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if he's going somewhere else. What team do you have him going to?
But as you type that in, we will move on to the next question. I've got another one for Brandon. Percentage that Max Domi is a Montreal Canadian next year.
That he's stays with Montreal. I don't think they're going to move him. I know he's an asset that they can. I'm saying that he stays in Montreal is 80%.
So he's got for us that are good at math, a 20% chance that
he
Max
moves.
Domi is moving.
I don't think they're moving him. I don't think anyone can put together a package that will be good enough to move someone like a Max Domi.
I think Max Domi gets traded for picks. I think the Montreal Canadiens trade Max Domi for more draft picks or prospects. I think they sell him at the draft.
See,
I don't think it's going to be like a hockey deal where it's like Domi goes with a package for, say,
a specific
player.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Montreal's looking to improve for the future, and Max Domi's not currently helping them really. They've got, if they feel that they can sign a guy like Taylor Hall maybe by moving that little contract out.
And move Max
Because
Domi.
Max is also a restricted free agent. He needs to get paid.
I think they would keep him. I honestly think they would keep him. I know that you say he's not helping them out. I would keep Max Domi over Taylor Hall. I know that the money is, because if you're going to be moving Taylor Hall, you're not going to be giving up much to get him. What kind of picks do you think that you would get for a Max Domi?
First round pick for sure.
So you're trading him a 1-for-1?
No, I think Max.
I
think Max Domi is something like a late first and maybe a fourth and a prospect.
See, and I think that because of
for a team like New Jersey.
See, and I think
a team like New Jersey that has 3 first-round picks, I think that's a deal that somebody like that makes.
The draft is so deep this year that I can't see anyone wanting to part with any first-rounders.
We didn't even say anything about the draft yet, really.
No. I can't see anyone wanting to give up their first-round pick.
Well, there's a lot of So Montreal is rumored to give up their first-round pick. Bergevin said live on the air today, talking to Tony Marinaro in Montreal, that the 16 pick is available, and he's taking calls on it.
I do remember hearing that. I do remember that they were looking to give up.
And 16,
he also said he wants to make Brendan Gallagher like the highest paid winger or something like that. He's at 5.5 or something like.
I'm not sure.
He said he wanted to pay Brendan Gallagher and pay him so that he stays in Montreal for a long time.
Yeah, well, he's the heart and soul of the team.
Yep.
If trade talks aren't going well with Brendan Gallagher, they may have to move him though. That's just the reality of sport. You cannot lose players for nothing anymore. That's just the way it is. If you're a asset management type guy, like I believe Mark Bergevin is,
yep.
He's one of the best in the league at it. Actually, he gets something out of nothing a lot, but he can never get the big fish, and that's been his that's going to kill him.
Okay, so I've got one for you, and I know that we've talked about it already. What's your percentage? Chances are that Freddie Anderson, even though Dubas has come out and said that he's going to be the starter next year, what do you think the odds are that he gets traded?
The odds that he gets traded, or the odds that he's the starter?
The odds that he gets traded, that they move him out of Toronto.
I think
all of these veteran goalies that are available, moving him and then moving someone
I think moving Freddie Anderson right now is impossible.
Okay.
I think moving a goalie for anything more than like a fourth, like look what Dubnyk went for.
Yeah.
I think moving a goalie right now is idiotic. So you're not going to get anything for him.
Well, Freddie Anderson is better statistically than.
Okay, so he's a
Dubnyk,
second-round pick.
Yeah. Second-round pick, though, like I said, it's a deep draft.
I get that, but what I'm saying, though, is like he's your franchise goaltender.
But
you're going to move him for a second-round pick so you can sign a guy like Corey Crawford or Lundqvist? I guess you could do that if you want to trade an apple for an apple.
Yeah. Maybe it's just not working. I know that he said that he's going to be the starter, but I don't think that they have enough confidence in him to actually be the starter.
What are you guys thinking in YouTube world? Chances that Freddie Anderson gets traded before the season starts? I would put that at like 12%.
12%. Okay, we're going by tens, but okay.
I think a lot of rumors. Jay can attest to it. Fred, like all these guys, they always throw out these Toronto things they're hearing, right? It's because we're stuck in the Toronto Bermuda Triangle type thing. We get nonstop Toronto BS on our radio and our TV, and I don't think any of it's really true. I don't know. I prefer to talk to guys on Twitter that cover the league as a whole. And for instance, like Josh Anderson's available in Columbus. That's a rumor going around. Kyle Palmieri's available in New Jersey. But these are guys Kyle Palmieri had a really good year a couple years ago. I'm not sure what he did last year. I didn't follow him that closely. But Josh Anderson completely fell off the map. Ryan Donato got traded today for, I believe, a 5th-round pick. Ryan Donato, a former 20-goal scorer, had a bad year last year. I think he was injured a bit. 5th-round pick for Ryan Donato. So what is a player really worth these days?
Yeah, unless you're a superstar.
But I don't even think superstars should be worth that kind of value. In reality, what should Patrick Laine be worth? He's obviously the biggest fish name out there that is possibly available. But what's he done? He had 40 goals one year.
40 goals 1 year, yeah. That's it.
Okay.
He's young. He is early 20s. So,
yeah, he's got a ton of time.
He's got a lot of time to still develop.
You also have to pay him, though. So,
yeah.
There's also the risk. Chances are, okay, here we go. Maybe this doesn't happen. By the time we hit next week's Out of Bounds on Monday night, we're going to have a ton to talk about with the draft going down, with free agency hitting. Chances are we see an offer sheet.
For?
Anybody.
Chances are we see an offer sheet.
What are the chances that we see another offer sheet this year? Bergevin offer sheet at Aho last year, first time in forever that it's been done.
I don't think 0.
I think there's a 100% chance we see an offer sheet to the for
just to handcuff someone.
Just to handcuff somebody, and I think it's coming to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh yeah.
If Tampa doesn't get their house in order by free agents or free agent frenzy. I see a team offer sheeting a Cirelli or a Sergachev because I think you can still get those guys for $6 million, which brings the compensation down quite a bit. But Tampa doesn't have $6 million to match it. Until they move contract out, they legally, by league standards, cannot match that.
Right.
And they only have 24 or 48 hours to answer it. Or no, wait a minute. I think they got 2 weeks. But either way, they got to blow up their team. They got to do something to make that work.
Well, it gives an opportunity for them to move Stamkos out, though, right?
That's what we've been talking about.
Right? Move Stamkos out and free up some cap space.
That's going to be the big... I don't know. If I were the Tampa Bay Lightning right now, you just won the Stanley Cup. Stamkos played 2 minutes and 17 seconds of the entire playoff run. He's expendable, in my opinion. You basically won a Stanley Cup without the guy. Why do you need him?
Yeah.
Obviously, the team has surpassed him as far, not as far as talent goes, but the ability to win. Steven Stamkos reminds me so much of a John Tavares. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning would be better off without him. It would take the handcuffs off a bit as to what they could do. He scored 1 goal in the NHL playoffs. I literally got into a Twitter argument with a kid saying that he's the heart and soul of the team. They're professionals, folks. You don't need a cheerleader. He's in the room. Oh, they won it for Stammer. It reminds me so much of when he jumped on the ice and scored that goal. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but it's like when they let somebody come on the field that probably shouldn't be there to run a free play.
Right.
That's what it felt to me, like the kid that helped in the locker room that, was challenged or whatever you call it.
Let's get this guy a touchdown.
Let's get this guy a touchdown. It's his last year in high school. Both teams come together and say, look, let's do it as a feel-good moment. It doesn't really matter, though. You know what I mean?
All right, so I have a chances are then for you. Chances are they get rid of Stamkos. What's Tampa Bay's odds to repeat as Stanley Cup champions?
0.
Okay, I thought so. That's what I thought too.
Tampa Bay's odds to win the Stanley Cup this year should have been 0, but the COVID Cup was fixed, folks. So they're the only team that wanted to stay in the bubble that long.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. Weird year. I don't think. I think with COVID being a major issue, I think teams with older players they just weren't into it. With your Crosbys, your Marchands, your Bergerons, like your Pittsburghs, Bostons, teams on the other side like St. Louis, and they're just like, whatever happens, happens.
This year's kind of a throwaway.
It's a throwaway. That's exactly what it is. Killorn's name has been mentioned a lot in trade rumors. A guy they can get rid of for $6 million or $5 million. He's got 4 years left on that deal, though, at 33 years old. That's a no-go for me. He's been mentioned to Montreal, and I'm like, no, thank you. I know he's from Montreal, but no. There's plenty of younger players out there that are probably available that maybe make a little bit more or a little bit less, but you don't give up. You don't need to handcuff 4 years, especially with the cap possibly going. Well, the cap staying at 81.5, but then probably going down in the following year because of COVID.
Draft starts tomorrow at what time? 7?
We have our draft show going live at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. We hope you guys tune in for that. Tell us what you think about tonight's show. A lot of fun tonight. A lot of stuff to talk about. I'll just do a quick recap right here. I'll let Brandon have the floor for a minute.
And I was just gonna ask you a question. I was gonna say that what time do you think that the frenzy starts to happen with regards to trades before the draft? Do you think it's going to be right at draft time, where it's going to be 7 o'clock? These things are going to be announced, or am I going to be sitting there teaching my class tomorrow, and the next thing I know, you're texting me on my phone saying so and so went here, so and so's going here? What time do you think? Let's say over under.
I think if
5 p.m.
Under.
Okay.
So I think if I stay up late enough tonight, I think there's a deal done around in between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. this morning. There's been plenty of deals the night before the draft in history.
Okay.
We had Taylor Hall get traded the night before. We had PK Subban Weber get traded. Same year, actually. A lot of the major big deals. But this is because it's a little bit different this year, so I don't know. This is definitely a wild card. It's a little bit different because of the fact that the GMs aren't in the same room.
Yeah.
So now you can't walk over to another guy's table and say, "Hey, let's go talk for a minute."
Yeah.
And this is what we can do. These guys literally have to call each other. Maybe the guy's already on the phone. So maybe you're calling about a player. The deal already gets done. You hang up, another guy calls back, and he had a better deal available for you, but the deal's already done.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. Like, we don't really know what's going to happen here. It's going to be a very interesting year.
You think they'll change the time on the clock for picks to be put in?
No, I think it's still going to be 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it's still going to be a 15-minute clock, and I think maybe some surprises tomorrow night. The player that I think might drop. Do you have a player that you think might slide in the draft?
Well, I was listening to what New York needed, and New York needs a center. And Lafreniere is not a center. What do you think the odds are that they're not going to take Lafreniere to Byfield? Yeah, I think so 0%. Too. But there's talk about they need the center help, and Lafreniere is a winger. And it's not going to... Like, I can't see him doing that. So, I don't know. You said you thought Byfield was going to go third.
I do think I think Strutzel is the second pick in my opinion.
I think that would be surprising to me. I think
he's showing up on a lot of experts' sheets as number 2. Like it's pretty much it's probably about 70-30 with Byfield going 2, but there is the chance that that Strutzel goes second. And again, it's just he's looked better in the last 6 months than Byfield has. So, but you got to be careful with these guys because a lot of guys peak at this age.
Yeah.
You gotta look at it from what are they going to look like in 5 years? A lot of guys, they want raw talent.
Any Nail Yakupovs in the draft this year?
I don't know, but no, I don't think. I think drafting's gotten so much better even in the last 5 years.
I think the scouting's gotten better.
The scouting's
gotten so much better.
Well, look at it this way: you don't have to travel to watch a game anymore ever. I don't know why they're paying these guys so much money to go travel to games when literally every game is televised, including OHL. Yep. You can watch every OHL or Canadian Hockey League game that you want. I guess you still need European scouts, but they live over there. They don't come back. They just call you and say, "Hey, this guy's good." If they're really good, like a first overall type guy, then the GMs fly over and take a look at him. But the game's changed so much in general that maybe you don't even need scouts anymore. Like,
well, you know what? I think social media does a good job of putting players on the map.
I think scouts are more needed for your late round picks than they are for your first and second round.
So you can find value, right?
Yeah, so you can find value in the late rounds.
Yep.
Like maybe this guy had a broken leg and he only played 20 games last year, but Well,
I look at someone like a Zetterberg, for instance. Like a Zetterberg was a pretty dominant player, and he was chosen in the 6th round. Like, that is value that you can find late in drafts that no one's
Oh,
picking.
it's there.
For sure.
There's definitely the opportunity that there's value there. But there's no guarantee that first-round picks are becoming NHLers anymore.
That is true.
I did read an interesting article by Brian, last name, he worked for CTV anyways. But anyways, he did the math on it in the last 10 or 20 years. I think he went back 15 years to be safe. Only 60% of first-round picks actually have NHL careers of 6 years or more.
Yeah, that actually panned out.
So, and it goes down to like 30% in the second round and like 12% in the third round. So are those third, fourth, fifth, sixth round picks even worth anything then?
No, they're expendable, right? They're just trade bait. You can
use
them.
So,
you can
package the first
them.
2 rounds are where you find your NHL players.
Yep.
So when a team has, luckily my team I believe has 3 or 4 second round picks this year. If I were Montreal, I'm calling up a team that has 3 firsts and saying, look, we'll give you 3 seconds for 1 first, your latest first round pick, just to move up. You know what I mean? Because you can only draft so many players anyways. You can only have so many guys
on
signed.
the roster. Yeah, so many guys on the roster.
So they're actually something has to give, because I think they're sitting with 12 picks, and I think you can't even have that many. So something has to give.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
We'll have some fun tomorrow. If you can, tune in.
Yeah, we're gonna eat double cheeseburgers and cupcakes, and I think I'm getting some nuggets too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you not have enough meat tonight with the chicken and the wings?
I did go to Swiss Chalet and have chicken and ribs, and I ordered a side of chicken wings as well. Protein, man.
No kidding.
No carbs,
no kidding.
Like trying this keto stuff. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. If you're watching on the replay, definitely hit the like and subscribe button. We talk sports every Monday night. It's called Out of Bounds. This was episode 7. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to say big thank you out to Boombox Bake Shop. Brandon had the cupcake.
That was a fantastic cupcake. One of the best things I think I've ever tasted. It was like a party in my mouth.
So a party in my mouth, and everybody's invited.
Everyone was there.
All right, so we will see you guys tomorrow night, 7 p.m. sharp. Get ready to have a lot of fun. We're gonna be talking NHL draft all night long. It's gonna be a ton of fun. We want to see you guys tomorrow night. So thank you for tuning in to Out of Bounds episode 7, and we will see you later.
All right, guys. See ya.